Welcome back, everyone. I'm super excited to jump into today's explainer. We're going to take a really close look at the claims, the product lines, and the overall market positioning of a pretty fascinating brand in the athletic gear space, Shurfit. So whether you're an athlete yourself, a coach, or honestly just someone who geeks out over the intersection of sports tech and safety, this explainer is going to unpack exactly how Shurfit tackles the absolute necessity of oral protection in contact sports. All right, let's just dive right in. So here's the million-dollar question, right? How do athletes ensure optimal protection and performance? Every single time a player steps onto the field, the mat, or the ice, they're basically walking straight into a high-impact zone. The physical demands are just extreme, and the collisions, yeah, they can be intense. So how do these athletes protect their most vulnerable physical assets while still performing at their absolute peak? I mean, you can't just wrap yourself in bubble wrap. You still gotta breathe, communicate, and react in a split second. Hitting that perfect balance, maximum safety with zero hindrance to performance, that is exactly the puzzle specialized gear companies are trying to solve. And that brings us right to the core of what we're looking at today. In the world of contact sports, proper gear isn't just some flashy accessory. It's literally a fundamental necessity. In fact, Shurfit's whole foundational philosophy is that a true custom mouthguard is the single most important piece of protection an athlete has. If you think about it, it makes total sense. Helmets and pads do a great job protecting the broader structure of your body, but your mouth, it is uniquely vulnerable to impact. And damage there, that's permanent. So, Shurfit has basically built its entire brand identity around providing this essential baseline of safety before an athlete even thinks about making their next play. This really illustrates just how wide this need stretches. When we hear the phrase contact sports, I bet your mind probably jumps straight to MMA or the gridiron. And absolutely, Shurfit explicitly targets mixed martial arts, boxing, and football. But look at the other sports they're focused on: hockey, rugby, and even sports where contact is supposedly incidental, like soccer and basketball. We all know a stray elbow on the basketball court or a nasty collision going for a header in soccer can be just as devastating as a full-on tackle. By targeting all of these sports, Shurfit is really hammering home the high-stakes vulnerability that athletes face across practically every major discipline out there. Now, before we look at what makes Shurfit's specific approach unique, we've got to understand the underlying technology, the custom boil and bite mouthguard. Because get this, here's a wild statistic for you. Athletes actually have a staggering 33 to 56% chance of taking an orofacial injury during their playing career if they go unprotected. That's huge. To mitigate that, this specialized mouthguard uses a thermoplastic material. You just soften it in boiling water, pop it in your mouth, and bite down. As it cools, it molds to the exact unique contours of your teeth and gums. This specific tech is the absolute core of Shurfit's identity and their position in the industry. It's the mechanism that takes a mass-produced piece of plastic and transforms it into your personalized protective barrier. Because let's be real, there are a lot of online companies offering boil and bite guards today. It's a super crowded space. But Shurfit makes a really specific, pretty bold assertion here. They claim that not all online companies offering these guards are the same. They emphasize that their unique manufacturing process distinctly sets them apart from the competition. They're telling us they aren't just selling the raw material. They're selling a specialized process that they claim elevates the final product way beyond your standard off-the-shelf boil and bite guard. It's definitely an interesting way to differentiate themselves in such a saturated market. So what is this process that builds into their actual manufacturing difference? Well, Shurfit outlines 3 core steps to their approach. First up, they claim a handcrafted production process. That suggests a level of individual attention rather than just pure automated mass production. Second, they really highlight their commitment to using only the highest quality materials. And third, and honestly this is their major selling point, they aim to create the tightest fitting guard possible. Now, why does that matter so much? Because a loose guard is a dangerous guard. A tight fit means it actually stays in place upon impact, providing true protection. Plus, it gives the comfort necessary so the athlete can focus entirely on the game, instead of nervously biting down just to keep their mouthpiece from falling out into the dirt. So, okay, the standard custom fit makes total sense. But this definitely raises an important question, especially if we're talking about younger athletes or anyone undergoing orthodontic work. What about athletes with braces? I mean, a standard boil and bite might catch on brackets or just completely fail to accommodate the shifting nature of teeth during treatment. Let's see exactly how Shurfit addresses this specific challenge. According to their materials, Shurfit positions itself as an absolute specialist for athletes with braces. They aren't just offering some clunky one-size-fits-all workaround. They explicitly state that they possess a true, deep understanding of exactly how custom boil and bite mouthguards should be manufactured when a patient has braces.
It requires that same high-level customization, but with an expert technical tweak. This ensures it actually protects the mouth without damaging the super expensive orthodontic work sitting right underneath. So, how do they back up this claim of expertise? They rely on what we can call the Breese's advantage. They point straight to their years of specialized experience in this exact niche. They promise the exact same high-level customization you'd get with their standard guards. They also cite a track record of happy, repeat customers, which, is a massive indicator of trust in the orthodontic space. And perhaps the biggest thing, they offer direct guidance. They are readily available to guide customers through the process, answering any questions to ensure the unique requirements of a braces wearer are perfectly, safely met.
All right, moving on to section 2, exploring the collection, from plain models to intimidating graphics. Now we're transitioning from pure utility right into personal expression. Because let's be honest, in modern sports, gear isn't just about protection. It's also about aesthetics, intimidation, and building a personal brand. Their collection actually tells a pretty great mini narrative about athlete psychology. Up at the top, you have the essentials, your plain black and plain white. This is for the no-nonsense athlete, priced at $40. But then, look at the intimidating tier. You've got designs like Chaos Cage, Danger, and Jagged Fang White. These are clearly designed for combat sports or aggressive play, where that psychological edge really matters, priced just slightly higher at $45. And finally, you have the expressive category, models like Azteca, Jesus is King, and Mexico Patriota. These allow athletes to showcase their heritage, their faith, or their personal identity right there on the field. It's honestly a super smart way to cater to the very diverse psychological needs of competitors. I really want to pause specifically on this number for a second. $40. This is the starting price point for their plain black and white models before sales tax. By establishing this very concrete baseline cost, Shurfit is positioning its custom, handcrafted protection as a highly accessible piece of performance gear. When you weigh a $40 investment against the potential absolutely massive dental costs of an unprotected impact, the value proposition they're presenting becomes crystal clear. Beyond just the product itself, Shurfit places a really heavy emphasis on community and direct connection. Buying a custom health-adjacent product online can be pretty daunting for a lot of people, right? To bridge that gap, Shurfit highlights its active Instagram presence and a mailing list to keep users engaged and in the loop. But they actually go a step further than just passive social media scrolling. They put their direct phone line right front and center, 1-855 Shurfit. This isn't just some outsourced customer service line. It reinforces their central claim that they are readily, easily available to guide athletes through every single step of the selection and fitting process. Whether you have super specific questions about fitting a guard over braces, or you're just wondering which style suits your specific sport best, they want to make sure there's a real human connection, ensuring you get the absolute optimal fit. Which perfectly brings us to the culmination of their brand messaging. You can be sure it fits. It's in our name. It's Shurfit. It's a clever, straightforward motto that just neatly wraps up their entire brand narrative. It summarizes their central, unwavering promise, a guaranteed, handcrafted, tight fit that provides both ultimate protection and the complete confidence to perform at your best. And that leaves us with this final thought to ponder today. In high-impact environments where safety is absolutely paramount, does investing in a handcrafted, specialized boil and bite guard actually become a competitive advantage? Think about it. If you aren't constantly distracted by an uncomfortable mouthpiece and you have the psychological confidence of maximum protection, does that translate to a split-second edge on the field or in the ring? It's a fascinating look into exactly how essential gear impacts raw athletic performance. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. Keep learning, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you on the next one.